Welcome to the main stage at the Summer Fancy Food Show. Now please welcome Specialty Food Association President, Bill Lynch.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Well, few chefs bring together culture, identity, storytelling, unlike our speaker today. With roots in Swedish and Ethiopian culinary traditions, Chef Marcus Samuelsson has built a career around the idea that food is so much more than what's on the plate. Plus, as the first ever Chief Culinary Coach for the NYCFC, and with the World Cup bringing global communities to New York, Chef Samuelsson has a unique lens on timely questions around authenticity, nutrition, and how food shapes our relationships with ourselves. And before Marcus comes out on stage, let's learn a little bit about how he got here. Enjoy.
The restaurants, the books, the TV shows. Marcus Samuelsson just doesn't stop.
I reminisce for a spell, or shall I say think back 22 years ago to keep it on track. The birth of a child on the 8th of October.
Marcus, you're the winner of Top Chef Masters. Congratulations.
You have just become the Chopped All-Stars Grand Champion.
Please welcome Iron Chef Marcus Samuelsson.
Chop judges.
Try to knock us down? I dare you. I'm going across the country to see how food connects us all across the United States. Be inclusive, be friendly, be community driven. You're no one without your community.
Welcome to Harlem Meetup.
I feel like I'm living the dream that I wanted to establish for myself. Once you do that, you should be lucky and grateful, and I am those two things every day. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Right? First of all, super excited to be here at the Fancy Food Show. Thank you so much for Bill and the entire team for having me. The show is so exciting to walk. I walked it yesterday, and some of the most interesting, fun flavors. I mean, talk about the world right now when it's the World Cup, right? I feel like walking the floor here feels like the World Cup has really come into the Fancy Food Show. And what was your favorite bite? My favorite bite was definitely the saffron ice cream I had. And you know, as you walk the floor, you think about this the amazing flavor combinations that are here. And I think about, as my 30 years in New York, how food and American food and the palate of American consumers has been transformed, completely transformed. And you guys, people in this room, people who are curating this, has such a big part of that. Yeah, we call it CPGs. It's not a good name. CPG looks like an accountant came up with it. It's actually about flavors and improving people's life, right? Because when we all have a great bite of something, it's like you're improving someone's life. That experience, that meal, that bite people smile afterwards. So I feel like the big challenge coming out to all of us here is to come out with a better category name than CPG, because, you know, it's about improving people's life. And I feel like for me as a chef, with my background, coming from Ethiopia, one of the hottest countries in the world, flavor-forward countries in the world, and then going to Sweden, I moved to one of the coldest countries in the world. Salt, definitely salt forward, pickle forward, but not spice forward. But that sort of juxtaposition opposite is kind of what the world is today, right? When we want something salty, we want it really salty. When we want something spicy, we're looking for these extra spicy things, right? And that's kind of what I think how people experience food. Ethiopian food and Swedish food means very differently. We eat very differently, and what food does to us is also very differently. In Ethiopia, people eat based on a spiritual compass. The majority of the 120 million people are vegetarian. Food is probably 4 or 5 days a week. So when you do eat meat, it becomes a celebration. So when the spices has a completely different identity and idea on the why. Spices is essentially a preservative. So you preserve your food through spices, through berbere. In Sweden, we preserve things through salt and sugar, mostly salt. And where I grew up mostly on an island where the fishing culture, shrimp, seafood, preserving food was a big part of that. So I feel like I learned my food from my grandmother, Helga, and my drunk uncles. I love my drunk uncles. I did not know at the time that I knew they were my uncles, I just didn't know their coffee was spiked. And I found out because every time I used to go out fishing with them, the last thing I hear my mom, it's kind of like this last line my mom always say, "Don't drink their coffee." And I'm like, I'm 9, my sister's 11, we're not drinking coffee. That was the last thing. And there were signs, you know, my uncles never had cars, they biked. And sometimes, like in the afternoon, their bikes were like stationed like 4 blocks away from our boat. And the bike wasn't like, they didn't park the bike. The bike was always on the side. I'm like, that's my uncle's bike. I wonder why it's over there. But they were great. And they took us out fishing. And what I learned from them was always like, if you got 40 pieces of mackerel, like you smoke 10, you bring maybe 10 to your neighbors, you sell another 10, and then they used to throw us another 8 or 10. So we had our own coin, you know, our own money. And even within that, there was a market, kind of like a mini fancy food show, right? They were like, if someone has a Norwegian accent, charge more, because they got the oil money, they got money. If someone has a Stockholm accent, charge a little bit more, right? So I learned pretty early that this market and marketplace and who had the best mackerel matters. Pretty much like walking this floor, right? And one of the most magical markets in the world is a market in Ethiopia called Merkato. Like you go to any open air market in the world, right? It's completely chaotic for everybody that is not from that market. But for the people in the market, it makes total sense. Kind of like a kitchen in a restaurant, right? If you're not a chef and you have an open kitchen and you look into that kitchen, everyone stares and like, why is this guy so angry? Why is he screaming at everybody? But for the people in the kitchen, it makes total sense because it's all about structure and organized chaos. And one of the most vibrant markets in the world is called Merkato. It has everything that you can think of to buy in terms of food or other things. And I wanted to bring you guys to Merkato. So can you please play the video? Do you guys want to see the video? Yeah. Let's go and see the video. Let's go to Addis, all right? Welcome to Merkato, Africa's largest open-air market. You can find anything you want, but for me, the most important, of course, food. So good, sour, the best cottage cheese you'll ever find. I had to bring you here. This is what we were inspired by to start Merkato simmer sauce. Look at this beautiful dried oregano. That's kind of what we want for our Mediterranean-inspired sauce. Starting with curry, inspired from Southeast Asia, Mediterranean bounty, and then of course, island vibe, all inspired by the Caribbean. This rosemary here, it smells so good. That's good, no? The simmer sauce line is not spicy, but it's all about flavors. And what could be better than to come here, where you have all the different flavor combinations in the world. Yeah, let's have some cardamom. Whatever meal you're gonna cook, all about the best flavors that we curated for you. Whether you're cooking chicken, whether you have rice, noodles, or pasta, it's gonna be so delicious. Good, it's nice. All three, they're the happiest and most delicious flavors that I can serve for you. Thank you. Now, I get to bring the best flavors around the world, not just Africa, to your kitchen. It's good. Yes. Yes. And that's just this, like the happiest, the most delicious. You know, when I was coming up as a chef, I always wanted to work in 3-star Michelin kitchens, and I had a chance to go to Switzerland really early, and then eventually to France. And the food was amazing. The culture around it was amazing. The process, the craftsmanship in those kitchens was incredible. But I also worked on a cruise ship, and it took me all over the world. And once I got to places like, you know, the west coast of Mexico, and you have street food, like just simple tacos, and the flavors for me spoke to me much more. I was like, wow. How come this is the most best tasting food for me, a fresh fish taco? Or I went to Singapore and be able to have hawker stands food, and the food was also much more in my price level. It was $2, $3, and you can get the most amazing food. And I traveled to Hong Kong and places like that. And again, it was around the markets. When we got off the ship, we went to the markets, and the most incredible flavors were at these places, whether they were in the market or just a block away, serving the people that worked in the markets. And I was always starting to ask myself these questions. The food that is considered good food is French, maybe a little bit of Italian food, but not a lot, mostly French. But the food that really spoke to me, and a lot of people, because these markets are packed with people, were this street food. So as a chef, how could I narrow and really be inspired by the street food and the flavors that I had been experienced at these markets, but with the techniques and craftsmanship that I learned in those French kitchens? And it was something that unlocked to me that I felt like, wow, where can I do that? And I knew pretty early that I had to get out of these traditional French kitchens, because that was not the place for that food at that time. So coming to New York, coming to the States, I just felt like New York was the perfect balance between that, right? You had, for me in New York, I had my rollerblades, I had my bike, I had my 4 roommates, and I had my $40 in my pocket, and I could just rollerblade down to places like Callustians down in the 20s on Lexington Avenue, and just the spices and the kaffir lime leaves and the lemongrass married with my sauces that I was doing at Aquavit. I felt like I could really start to build this cuisine that was very unique. And there was other chefs doing very similar things, and there are a lot, some of them were way ahead of me. And a couple of chefs that I just want to shout out that really broke it and changed how New York eat. It was really Jean-Georges with his restaurant Vong. I mean, everyone knows Jean-Georges from the fancy restaurants, and Vong was fancy as well, but it was delicious. And my roommate at the time, Danny, he was working at Vong, and every night when we came back, he was telling me about where they got their spices from, or this new place in Queens where they got this fresh lemongrass from, because You couldn't find that in New York at the time. And I was like, this is exactly how I had food in Bangkok, in Singapore, and so on. So this notion of American food and fine dining was changing. There was another chef, Douglas Rodriguez, that had a restaurant called Patria. And Patria was revolutionary. Like for me, it was right next to Gramercy Tavern, so on like 20th Street off Park Avenue. And he charged the same amount as Gramercy Tavern for plantains, for ceviche, for all these things that I've had on the streets of Mexico, and he charged the same price. And I'm like, you can do that? That's amazing. And so slowly, the fine dining scene were changing. And of course, when social media and internet and food really combined and met, and it was easier for the consumer to get these great flavors that now they were starting to have in restaurants. And obviously chefs, we've always been extremely curious of food, who can do it better. A lot of these great chefs started their own places and moved back to the cities where they came from. So this flavor-forward journey we are on cuisine and American food was just not happening in New York. It was the same in San Francisco. It was obviously always been in Los Angeles, where you have much more mom and pop restaurants. So the movement of American food going into much more flavorful and diverse culinary flavors, I just felt like being in New York, being in America was the most interesting place, because the curiosity of what the combinations of what's possible is here. And for me, walking the floor here, it's like getting all of those things answered in one. And that's why I think it's such an interesting time, right? Because it's easy, and no one can ever say, well, how do I get that ingredient? That has been solved 15 years ago. No one can no longer say that, like, I've never heard about that. Even if you haven't heard about it, you can AI it, which I, as an African, always think AI means African intelligence, right? Like, I think it comes from us, right? Let me keep that idea. No, but I think that because of technology and because of specifically the way U.S. is made up, being a nation of immigrants, here on the 250th anniversary of this incredible idea of being American, and the way we solved how things can be shipped, and the way we are as people, there is no limits to what food and flavors can do in terms of bringing people together, but also what's possible. And I think that, again, yesterday when I walked the floor, you saw all of those possibilities. And it is extremely exciting to be part of it. And I think that it is because of a lot of you guys, because of the industry, the customer demands different things. We come back here and figure out, how do we partner, how do we work together, and how do we make sure we solve those problems, right? Because everyone wants their version of the crispy, like we respond to textures, right? That chip has to be not a little bit crispy, it has to be really crispy, right? We respond to fragrance when something smells. When I had that saffron ice cream yesterday, I'm like, on every note, it was really actually the saffron kulfi, but on every note, for me as a chef, I was like, wow, they really solved it, because saffron can get floral and it's difficult, but they really solved it. It was a long taste, right? Not just front note saffron, long note, and I thought it was incredible. So all of these things, as I'm walking around here and tasting food, the opportunities are here, and I feel like the more we network, the more we work together, we can really come up with the most exciting food. And on one part, fine dining is super important for that, but street culture is also super important in that. The other thing that drives that is obviously how people vacation, how people travel. And the more we travel further away, the more we're coming back with trends and foods that are more and more exciting. You think about, for me, one of the driving cultures in food right now is Peru. Why Peru? Of course, you have the traditional population, you have the Chinese population, then you have the Japanese population. Well, that feels like a block in New York City, right? And all of us as chefs, we're inspired by that, right? By that layerism of food, right? We're actually the opposite. Food is actually the opposite of, we're basically Stephen Miller's worst nightmare, right? We're layered and layered and layered and layered by good flavors, right? And when you walk, I feel that. And that's essentially when I started to think about, okay, as a chef, you can do that in a restaurant. Because it's your restaurant, you can communicate to those 150 guests a day or evening or whatever it is, or 200. But on a larger scale, how do you do that? And who has done that really, really well? Obviously, you look at major companies, let's say a Heinz or something like that. They have tons of people in research to do that. But if you also look at the mom and pops, who's done that, and what are those flavors like? And what do they look like? What does the future of that look like? Well, for me, it's still the same. There's a level of curiosity. We can do it. And that flavor that I grew up with, but that family I either married into or moved into, and this is where that Peruvian idea, right, comes together, right? And then that person moves to Indianapolis or whatever it is, and then you have another mix of that. And it's such a unique marketplace in America because we have this level of natural diversity constantly happening, either through trading, either through how we move, or how we travel. And the consumer says, I want that too, right? Because otherwise, how can sriracha beat ketchup? It's the consumer that said, we want more flavors, right? The line for the kimchi yesterday was incredible. I love that. And people, like, when I pulled up, it's like, oh, you want the white kimchi or you want the red kimchi? I was like, there's options in the kimchi space? How amazing is that, right? So, been a fan of all that, watch it grow. I'm like, I got to get in. And it pulled me right back to Merkato, to the oldest and the largest open-air market in Africa. And we, the entire Merkato team, we're here today, and we couldn't be more proud and excited to launch it here with you guys at the Fancy Food Show. And I guess I'm now part of the CPG family. Have we come up with a better name yet, or what? Because I'm in here to give, like, joy and excitement and start those great food fights on the table when someone's like, give me the sauce. I need more sauce to dip in here. So for us, the opportunity was, I really was thinking about, okay, time is of an essence, right? What does everyone try to solve at home, right? Don't have a lot of time, but my family and I, we want to eat good, and also how can I save some money, but, it has to be delicious. So for me, it's all around sauces. That's why we start the Merkato line with simmer sauces. I look at us as a flavor company. We're gonna do more and more partnership with you guys and come up with better and better flavors, right? We want to include young chefs, up-and-coming chefs. They're doing pop-ups and doing partnership. By the way, a ton of them are here, and they're like super excited. We met with a young kid. He's still in college, and he's already got his CPG company selling out of his dorm, right? How exciting is that, right? Talk about entrepreneurship. So we start with 3 sauces, but we already got 5 or 6 sauces lined up. We're starting with Mediterranean Bounty. Okay, not just another red sauce. We're really looking at adding some more flavors to that red sauce. Not spicy, but flavorful. This Mediterranean Bounty would work great with rice, pasta, chickpeas. We're thinking about it really like if you want a flavor for a dish, easily Mediterranean Bounty is for you. I talked a lot about traveling. We go to the Caribbean a lot, right? So we created a sauce we call Island Vibe, because every time you go to the Caribbean, especially when it's in New York, when it's like 12 degrees in February in that 3rd snowstorm, and then you get to any of the islands, and it's like 85 and sunny, and then comes that meal that is so delicious. And it's like, what is that? Well, we created the Island Vibe sauce that really evokes those memories. This sauce, grilled fish, grilled meat, vegetables, whatever you want. It's going to be the most delicious thing. And then curry delish. And this was the most difficult one because I would say curry is probably worldwide the most famous sauce, right? Everyone knows it evokes a memory. And then if you regionalize it, if you're British, you think about it from maybe one way. If you're from Pakistan, you think about it from one way. If you're from the Caribbean, you think about it a different way. But of course, if you're from India, this is your jam. And yesterday, this lady, I did not know she was Indian, but she was in our booth. She walked around. She reminded me of the lady, a church lady that came to Red Rooster when we opened. It's like, oh, what is this? Let me take a look. See if this is good enough. She was looking at all the things that we tried to build a beautiful restaurant. You know, we have the wood from the brownstone. We have the gospel singers from Harlem. But the sniff test is important uptown, right? And this lady, after spending 10 minutes with us, she said, this curry sauce is really good. I was like, let's shut this booth down right now, because it's going to go downhill from here, right? No, but we always, as chefs, you want validation from people who really know it. So that's kind of, for me, one of the reasons why we want to create this. We want to take these amazing sauces and want to give it to you guys, the consumer, and they can have great experience with it at home. Grilling, cooking that weekend meal, looking forward to gathering their friends, bringing the food to work, right? Cooking should be joy. It should be happy. And it's really, for me, it's been a full journey because I worked with so many angry chefs for a long time. And even like to go back to them now and say like cooking should be joy and happy. I mean, France will always be France. He will always scream at me. But now at least, I think even angry France in Switzerland, circa 1994, would be super happy with Merkato as well. And I think that's the key to this, right? We all here, networking, want to move our products. But at the end of the day, you want to bring it to people's home. You want people to have a great experience and be happier and sit with their friends and family. And if they're happy with it, they're going to tell their friends and family, and you keep moving with it, right? But food for me has brought me all over the world. I cooked some of the most amazing kitchens, but it always comes down to flavor. End of the day, it doesn't matter if you cook with simple potatoes or with truffle and foie gras, or just very simple dishes. It's always about the flavor, right? And the flavors we have pretty much been the same for 100 years, right? We all can taste salt, sweet, sour, bitter, and umami. And now, soon, we're about to get a sixth flavor. Does anyone know? We're about to enter kukumi. Kukumi is an extension of umami. So umami is obviously around fermentation and creates craveability. And kukumi is basically a step accustomed to umami, where you have creaminess, you measure creamy and fermentation. So as my son Zion, as he cooks now, it's like, oh, I love the umami in this. And I'm like, really impressed. So in 10 years, he might say, like, there should be more kukumi in this. And now you hear a new word, right? And you're like, what is this word? And it sounds weird to say it in the beginning. But food is probably the fastest way. Think how many words everyone here knows about another language because of food. We now know how to order through Japanese food, right? Everyone knows how to order that. We know how to order different type of ethnic group that is not part of our own because of food. But kukumi is going to be the next flavor that's going to be official. We experience it through fragrance, aesthetic, and texture, right? And we really thought about all of these 9 steps when we created the Merkato sauce line for you guys. We thought about what's coming next, the kokumi, yes. We thought about what is the texture of the sauces. We thought about all that back end, but none of that matters if it doesn't make you happy and if it's not delicious, right? So I want to say thank you for all of you guys for showing up. I know it's a great time being in New York, right? We're coming from the Knicks straight into the World Cup. It's pretty exciting, right? Probably got every different nation in here, like have different teams to root for. But it's such an exciting time to be part of this. We have about 15 minutes to go, so we're going to have some giveaways, but I need your help. So we got 2 mics over here. Morgan is coming up with some giveaway gifts. I got a Merkato shirt. I got cookbooks. But you're not getting this for free unless you're asking questions. So whoever got a question, no, you got to go back up there. I love the fact yes, the mics. Yeah, we are organized here. Like this is an official thing we're doing here. Yes, ma'am. You can come on stage too if you like to.
Hello, Marcus.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I am Katalin. I am from the Hungarian American television.
Nice.
And I'm a great fan of yours.
Thank you.
So my question is that, have you ever experienced Hungarian food?
Of course.
Oh, because
yes.
we love to eat.
Yes. Absolutely.
And we have great sauces too.
Yeah. So I would say the one thing that Hungary has that is very similar to Ethiopia, the way you have your goulash with the paprika, with its deep flavor, we have berber and our dorowat, right? Yeah. So I think that, this interest in when you say a country, right away I know, and then I think about, is that similar to something Swedish or something Ethiopian or something I experienced? And I would say that goulash is it's an incredible. When I lived in Austria, we had goulash all the time. And it was always like that pride, who makes the best goulash? And the paprika flavors in that is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, how do you like the fancy food show so far?
I love it. I've been coming here for many, many years, and I met you here before you actually autographed your book for me.
Okay, cool. And I mean, Hungary, you have amazing soccer player too, Soboslai. How do I pronounce Soboslai? Is that the right way?
Yes.
Soboslai?
Yes.
He's amazing. He's probably the best player that is not in the World Cup. All right, thank you so much. Thank you. Yes.
Good afternoon.
Oh my God, we got Barry White on the mic. Oh my God, this is a decent show. Like, what's happening? What's going on? I'm supposed to be spicy and flavorful. What the hell is this? Bill, you didn't tell me about this. Yes.
All right. You often say that food tells a story. If
Yes.
someone could understand Harlem through one meal at Red Rooster, what story will it tell?
Well, when you enter, thank you for that question. When you enter Red Rooster, the goal is for people to experience Harlem in one evening, basically an hour, half, or 2 hours, right? And for me, it starts with, once you enter, you really see Lenox Avenue coming in with all of it, not curated, not edited, all of it. And I was there last night, so it's like each time it gets you. It can be, it's very busy outside, it's noisy, it's a lot of it. And then once you enter, the first thing that's going to hit you is the live music. Second thing that's going to hit you is, we work on this every day, so the friendliness of the bartender and the service staff. They're happy to see you. They look up, they don't look down. And then it's the spirit of the people that are literally on top of each other. You're going to see Harlemites that have been there for many, many generations, next to a French or a Swedish tourist, next to somebody from Connecticut. And so it's really the New York City, the experience that we have is met there. Food-wise, you start with cornbread, you end up with a little bit of fried chicken that we have this berberry hot honey with, and some collard greens, and you're gonna be good. And then hopefully you met some new friends. Hopefully there was people there that you would never have met otherwise, but you met them at the Red Rooster, and you create a memory, a memorable experience. Food is about a quarter of the experience. One quarter is totally open. That's up to you. What are you going to make of this situation? The vibe is in there, and of course the music will be part of it. So welcome to Red Rooster. Yes.
Hi, Chef.
Hi.
I really appreciate what you're saying about joy. I think when you're in the hustle, whether in the kitchen or working for a CPG brand, it's hard to forget sometimes or just lose sight of that. So I really appreciate that. And I'm wondering what do you think, how do you connect the ideas of sustainability and regenerative growing with the joy and the food, both in kitchens and with the work you're doing now?
Yeah, I mean, when we created Merkato, and this was an ongoing thing, right? We thought about importing I have allergies, my son has allergies, so we think about that, right? So thinking it through that seed-free oil, you think about all the different elements that you can bring into this, like how do you expand people's mind of what's possible in terms of delicious, right? I thought a lot about leftovers, the next day meal, right? Like leftovers, as a chef, we think about leftovers through staff meal very often. But the best meals are very often at staff meal. They happen in restaurants around 4 o'clock. We sit down, and that's very often that chicken from last night, the rice that somebody left uncovered in the refrigerator. So that's a scenario that every person have in their refrigerator, maybe at home. But through these sauces, you're going to be able to bring it back, and it's going to taste even better. So just those things. So what does that come down to? That comes down to texture, body of the sauce, but flavors. And flavors, how do they respond to heat, right? We know that spices opens up when you bring them to a boil, and you throw that day-old rice in there, and quickly you're going to get something that tastes delicious. So even in a sauce line, a simmer sauce line, you can think about that. There's so many decisions. What type of jar, right? So you can think about how to be really thoughtful about the environment as you're creating a fun, funky, delicious brand. Thank you. Yes?
Hey, good morning, Chef. Thanks
First
for being
of all,
here.
you rival my shirt. I got to give you that
man.
shirt is everything.
Thank you, man.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll pay you later.
Yeah.
I'm Evan Nave, head of marketing for Hidden Valley Ranch.
Yes.
So we are having a moment, obviously. We were prepared for it.
Yeah.
But we are a legacy brand, right? And still finding ways to innovate. So tell us, what's your point of view on brands that are legacy, certainly that have the crux of a great brand equity and a great story, but how do we continue to innovate and find a way to capture new guests?
Well, first of all, by showing up that you're doing here and staying curious. And I think that the hardest thing for big brand, legacy brands, is to stay constantly curious, right? If you think about how they go back, traditions, how they started the brand, they started the brand because they thought they could do something better than that was out there. So they really started the brand, like most brands, to solve a problem and being passionate about certain thing and saying, we can do this and bring this to market. So when you become a big brand, what is it that, and it happens in restaurants too. So you gotta, in restaurants, we do it through pop-ups. We do it through giving that sous chef or that next person. There's a system where you really plug into, you want to stay curious. And I think this stay hungry, stay curious works as a young brand, but it also works as a legacy brand. And by you being here and by showing up and the, new emerging brands that you're going to talk to during this time, that's how you stay curious and show up at different types of food events. So I think by showing up, you've done half of the homework already, and now it's really about how do you get in there and meet these newer brands that are excited to be here. So
awesome.
Thank you for showing up.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Chef. Thank you for great meals at Metropolis
Yes.
and hospitality.
Nice.
My name is Mary Allen, and I'm a legacy business also, Coffee by Design, Portland, Maine, farmer-focused business. I'm worried about the future of the coffee industry. I just got back from Uganda and Ethiopia, How can we work more closely with chefs? We're more than just the afterthought at the end of a meal. We make great marinades.
Yes.
We can be great in baking. How can I better partner with chefs so we save the industry?
Well, thank you. And obviously coming from Ethiopia, coffee is something that it's not just something that is up on somebody's shelf. It's family businesses, local businesses that then feed up to the larger market. And I think that just even bringing attention to it is key. Some chefs are engaged with it. There's actually been a big movement by a lot of chefs, especially chefs that either come from the coffee belt, right? Because we are closer to it. And I think that it's really, in each place, it is a terroir and a regional question. It could be access to water. It could be access to safety for the workers getting to the place. So I think regionally, it's a very different challenge. And then, of course, price. How can you get the most price? But I think also awareness, right? And this is something I have to give actually bigger companies here, which started with big companies about 20 years ago when they started to give credit to the local places, farmers. Because before 15 years ago, we knew it like Italian roast, French roast, and we still know those. But now people are asking, is this Brazilian, is this Ethiopian, is this Uganda? Because obviously, just like wine, it's terroir, and you have different notes. And I think the more the consumer understands that Ethiopian coffee is actually not best with milk, you know, because they have that citrus note, the better notes for milk is Colombian and Brazilian, the way it is. So the more awareness you have about a product, it's going to make you, so I think it's about raising awareness. And thank you for bringing it up. Yes?
Thank you, Chef. So, Burhan from Injera Club by Red Fox Spices.
I love it.
Yeah, probably the only Ethiopian brand here.
I'm Ethiopian. I'm older than you, so I'm Ethiopian.
No, not that.
We can coexist. There can be two Ethiopians here.
Of course. I'll take that back.
Okay.
No.
As Ethiopians, we're here. Yes.
Pushing full Ethiopian CPG, I don't want to call it CPG, brands forward. So we're at the debut district. If you have a chance to check out the little guys up there, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, we'll definitely come through after this.
Okay, so the question is this. You've done more than anyone to bring the Ethiopian flavors to the American consumer. So having done that, so smaller brands that are coming up, trying to make the Ethiopian cuisine approachable to modern consumer, what's the one thing that we would need to do and execute on?
I think Ethiopian food in America is doing fantastic by not changing. Because we have one thing, we have real POV in our food, right? Anyone who's ever had Ethiopian food it starts with injera bread. And most cuisines in the world, besides street food, you eat either with chopsticks or a knife and fork. We use this, we use our hands. So anyone who's had Ethiopian food will always remember it. And if we would be a knife and fork, switching to that, no one would ever remember it. So I think that's a very important part to actually hold on and go deeper on your own tradition, right? And I think there is so many places, like Food and Wine this month, one of the most emerging restaurants in America is in Texas, in Dallas. It's a young family that have a barbecue place that is mixing Texas barbecue with Ethiopian berbere, right? I mean, only in America, and I love those things, right? So I think that it's actually about more awareness. No one is against Ethiopian food. The people who don't know about it, it's not because they don't like it, it's just because they maybe have never been exposed to it. But I would say as most African countries, I would say Ethiopians and Moroccan food is probably the two that is positioned the best, because most people that have had African food ever, those are the two cuisines that we've had. So it's about you showing up to an event like this. And Red Fox, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're not a small brand, because think about it, for you, you're the only brand, right? For your investments, for your family. So you're the biggest brand on your block, You're the biggest brand in your family. So don't think about yourself as a small brand. You're here meeting all these people, and we will definitely come and see you, and I'm sure 10 other people. What's the number of the, which booth are you guys at?
So we're at the River Pavilion. We're at booth number 7129B. 7129B.
129B, we can do that. And also, what's Red Fox Instagram?
So it's at Red Fox Spices.
Okay, now you have more followers. That's
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Chef.
All right. Yes.
Good morning, Chef.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you? My name is Sue. I'm with the Morton Salt Company, another
Yes.
legacy CPG company.
Yes.
I run their alternate channels sales team. My question is more of a usage question. So, as a chef, you know, you've seen this kind of explosion in the salt category in the last 10 years. You've got the Celtic, the Fleur de Sel, the pink, you know, of course, fine sea salt numbers besides your traditional free-flowing salt. So how do you choose the salts that you use in your foods?
Yeah. Well, it's all depending on what you're making, right? So if you have a finishing salt, you want texture, right? You want kind of that Fleur de Sel texture, right? If you're like the way I grew up curing fish, like a traditional Morton kosher would be perfect because you're using tons of it and goes in and you cure it for 4 to 6 hours, or if you want it, depending on your product, what you're using, right? So I think for me, it's very much what is the usage and understanding that salt is not just one, it just doesn't work on one level. It unlocks all other flavors, right? So first that, and then how and when are you gonna apply it, right? So there's a cooking salt, so let's say kosher salt would be used there, and then there's a finishing salt, and then there can even be a smoked salt depending on what dish you're building. So if I were finishing ribs, a smoked salt would be the best, you know, with a lot of texture, because then you get that smokiness in it. So understand, again, awareness for the consumers of what am I cooking today?
Yes.
All right? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karen with Alberto's Jalapeno Relish. What is your wisdom on a startup company? How to expand?
Well, you know what? We're a startup, and I love that because it forces us, you know, even if you're established in one field, in this market, we're not. So we're learning, right? And we have an amazing team here at Merkato. So for us, it was about reaching out, and we partner with Steve that knows, and Nadia that is here. Nadia has been helpful to really introduce us to so many people in this space. And I think as an established restaurateur and chef, now we're entering something else. And with a lot of humility, you have to understand, like, you're a rookie in this. And I think that is exciting. I'm really excited about walking this walk with you guys and learning this space. And I think that every time you do something new in life, it's a new opportunity to learn, and it's exciting. So I think you have to be curious. You have to partner with others that have a lot of sort of experience and know-how in this space. Use everything that you can you can control, like social media you can control, that's your own. Be active in those spaces are controllable, because you know, as an emerging brand, you can't go into the stores and get sort of large pieces of real estate inside the stores, because it's just not possible in the beginning, right? So worry about the controllables that you have, partners with people, go to different booths and figure out how you can. What we've met during this 2 days is so many brands that come up to our place and said, hey, we would like to partner with you guys and use the sauce in X, Y, and Z. And that's amazing. And that's one way for us to partner with other people. And everyone can have the possibility to do that. All right?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Chef.
We ran out of toys, by the way. I think I have a book left here. Yeah. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
I've been a big fan of yours since Aquavit days. My name is Melody, and I'm with Amazon and Whole Foods. And I think everyone here has been inspired by restaurants. Many of us have hopefully been inspired by your restaurants as well. And so from a CPG standpoint, can you tell me about a time where a CPG product actually influenced your restaurants?
Yeah.
Instead of the other way around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I think there are moments when I think about, yes, America is changing. right? And the first time for me was when I found that I could buy kaffir lime leaves. It's a long time ago, you know? And I was like, oh my God, this unlocks so many things for me. Then when you can online find berbere, the Ethiopian spice blend that is like, it's not even spices in Ethiopia, it's a currency, right? And I'm like, whoa, there's a woman in Michigan selling berbere. Like, when kimchi was everywhere. When sriracha is bigger than ketchup. Like, these are all moments that tells me that the palate is changing. And for us that are immigrants and are passionate about food, it's advantage us because we have so much more flavors in our traditional cooking. You're like, you want pickles? Eventually, Haitian pickles gonna be the thing you go to. You might not know about now, but that's where you're gonna end up. You want this? That's where you're gonna go to. You want a great vinaigrette? Well, eventually, someone's gonna vinaigrette up like leche de tigre from Peru, and everyone's gonna be able to do it, and their salad dressing will be forever, and ranch probably gonna buy it, right? And it will always be, and Merkato will take stock in that. Thank you very much. You know what I mean? So it's like flavor forward. It has happened in any other culture, and the US it operates what most politicians don't understand is like food and music's gonna has its own language. So it's gonna operate anyway. Law structure can be set up, but food's gonna operate based on delicious, and delicious will win, regardless. And that's why it's so amazing to be in America, because we're a flavor-forward country, always been. And I know we're gonna eat more and more delicious. The future is delicious.
Thank you so much.
Can we just go super quick? Yes.
Super quick.
Yep.
What are your thoughts about the impact of AI on chefs' training? And since you brought up curiosity a number of times, on the need for exposure to new cuisines, new flavors, et cetera?
Yeah, but AI could definitely help every company to level up, to market itself better. And I think it's gonna revolutionize younger brands to be able to level up much quicker and reach consumers. So I think it's fantastic. Yes.
Time ago, Michelle Lawton, Joyful Plate. I just wanted to thank you so much for your generosity. You're the real deal, one of the most generous chefs in the world. And I'm a member of La Dame Escoffier.
Yes.
And yeah,
I got
November
free
9th.
dumplings at my booth later to say thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, Chef, I was going to ask you what your top 5 essential spices were, but because we're a little pressed for time, I'll just pivot to my second question. Can I give you a copy of my cookbook?
Oh, of course you can. So sweet. And congratulations. What's the name of your cookbook?
Actually, the name of my brand, it's United in Flavor.
Amazing. United in Flavors. Come up here. I want to say a huge thank you to all of you guys. We're super excited to launch Merkato. We'll be at our booth. We'll be having a meet with all of you guys. Thank you for being here. And I know there was someone who was nodding the whole time I said Peruvian, so you're going to get this shirt from me.